Hello and welcome to the Property Management Masterclass, a 6-part podcast series brought to you by Holiday Cottage Handbook and your AirHost. My name's James Varley, the founder of Holiday Cottage Handbook, and our goal is to explain everything you need to know about effective short-term rental hosting and management. Over the course of this series, we'll cover all the basics and share actionable tips to help you build a sustainable business and deliver an outstanding guest experience. In this 6th episode, we'll discuss how to scale your short-term rental business. Now, before we jump into our conversation with Stefan from Your AirHost, I want to share some exciting news. On November the 8th, we are hosting a free educational event in London aimed at short-term rental hosts and property managers. The event will feature panel sessions, seminars, and exhibitors from the industry, and it will be a fantastic opportunity to learn, network, and grow your short-term rental business. Places are limited, so be sure to register today at holidaycottagehandbook.com/your AirHost. And if you're interested in exhibiting at the event, please reach out to me directly over email, james@holidaycottagehandbook.com. Hope to see you there. Thank you for joining us for episode 6 of the Property Management Masterclass, brought to you by Holiday Cottage Handbook and your AirHost. It's time now to introduce our special guest, the man who's been there and done it in the short-term rentals world. Stefan Hoffelner is the CEO and co-founder of Your AirHost, which is the leading STR management company in London. Good to see you, Stefan.
Really great to see you, James. It's a bit sad that it's coming to an end, the episode 6 of 6. Really enjoyed the process, and I really hope that there's some useful information for everyone to kind of digest, and ultimately will help the listeners of Holiday Cottage Handbook.
I'm sure people will get a lot out of it, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. But we're going to talk today about scaling a business. So let's start with your story. Tell us how you started out in this crazy business.
So it started with one property. That was my property. It was all the way back in sort of 2019. I was lucky enough to purchase a 1-bedroom apartment, and I valued it for long-term lettings, which kind of came back at about £850 a month, if I can remember correctly. And a friend of mine was doing short-term rentals. He had a family property that he was looking after in Oxford, and he sort of had 4 or 5 bedrooms in there, and he was renting them out. A very good friend of mine, and he was saying, "Stefan, it's crazy. I'm doing really great revenue from this. I'm busy every day, turnovers every day." He was really kind of struggling with it. He asked me for help a few times, and I decided to start my flat as a short-term rental. I think the first month I cleared over £3,000 on it, and so the difference between the two, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" And I wanted, 100 of them super quickly. So I got together with my business partner Richard. We'd started the business. We met late December. On Christmas Day, I was working, building the website, kind of trying to get it ready to get out to people. And I think before April that year, we were managing about 30 properties. So we had some pretty quick growth on the initial stage. And it was super exciting as well. And so, it became the main sort of focus and attention and drive of us both for a number of years.
How did you gather those properties? How did you grow very quickly to 30 or 40?
So we, use all the sort of traditional channels for marketing, SEO, AdWords, Facebook, all of those kind of online marketing channels that are available to people. Some were more successful than others. But I think the real difference and real key difference for us is we're always super keen to get out and get in front of people. And I think, whether you're trying to build any business, that sort of face-to-face contact and time that you have with people is worth its weight in gold. So we were always, when people would call us and inquire in the beginning, myself and my business partner Richard were very keen to get out, get in front of them, meet them, shake their hands, walk around their properties, and then value the properties based on some tools that we were using back then. So I think that was partly to do with a lot of the growth that we saw in the beginning.
What do you need to get right at the start of your journey to really lay those foundations for success?
I think using the right software. is a really, really, really important tool. There'll be so many PMSs out there, and picking the one that suits your business right and what you're trying to sort of get out of this, what you're trying to achieve, will be a really important step. So I'd recommend thinking that through, looking at the options that are available, looking at the costs that are available. There's some really sort of entry level products, and there's some, ones that are a bit more expensive, but will do a lot more. So what are you trying to give your clients? Do you want kind of accounting tools? Do you want in-depth analysis of all the business? Those will all cost slightly more. Or are you just looking for something that's, on the cheaper end of the scale, and you're not looking to offer those, or you don't feel that you need those sort of things as yet? So choosing the right PMS is very important. Choosing the right softwares that you work alongside, the right partners that you work alongside, is very important. There's a lot of very, very good companies in this space who have, doing some fantastic things. Partnering with them and offering them on your product and working with the right people would be some crucial steps.
You spoke before about getting to 30 or 40 properties pretty quickly. You're now at over 200 properties. Just talk to us about the recruitment process. When do you kind of stop doing things yourself? You bring people in to help you, and talk to us about the challenges of managing a team.
So yeah, I mean, that's a corner that perhaps I could cut for somebody that would be interested in getting into this business and scaling a company. At the beginning, myself and my business partner were doing absolutely everything that we could do in-house. So, from doing all the guest communication ourselves, to booking cleans ourselves, to really getting, doing the sales ourselves, kind of every aspect of the business. It was just myself and my business partner right at the beginning. And then very quickly, we realized that was completely unscalable, and that we were going to have to kind of employ people. Choosing the right people and working with the right individuals is crucial in any business. I'm sure, other business owners would attest to that. But you'll need help very quickly with operations if you're kind of going up to that 30 property mark. And depending what your skills are, where do your skills lie? Some people's skills are in operations, some people's skills are in finance, some people's skills are in sales. So perhaps, you want to get help in areas that aren't your forte. And, there's so many different components and areas of this business. Like we said, there's the accountancy side, there's the operational side, there's a marketing side to it, there's a sales side to it. So there's a lot of different components on that. And I would recommend bringing in support in the areas that you're not strong with early on. And then, perhaps adding support to the areas that you are stronger with later on.
If you could go back to the start of your journey, is there any one thing that you would do differently?
Well, neither myself or my business partner are experts in accounting. And this business becomes really complicated with accounting very, very quickly. If you're kind of going up towards that 30 property mark, you'll be taking payments for lots of properties. You'll be spending money on lots of different things for the properties very, very quickly. And there'll be, hundreds of payments a month. And having somebody that can reconcile all of those payments, that can sort out all of your accounts, it's something that we weren't very good with at the beginning, and learned very quickly that we had to become very good at it. And then that we needed to, have somebody to help us with that as we kind of went along our journey. It became, really, really very, very important. So we're lucky enough now to have a financial wizard within the business, and he's, one of the most important parts of our cogs within it. Now we can kind of leave him to point out everything to us, and that's something that has been really important for us, just because our natural skill sets didn't lie in those areas.
Is there a mistake that you made during your initial years, perhaps, that could be a lesson learned that people could learn from?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the accountancy side again was something that was something that we realized very quickly that we needed to, we needed help and support with. So that would be something that I would really recommend is using an accountancy tool. There are loads out there like Xero, doing some basic training on it if you're going to do it yourself, or hiring somebody that can, reconcile hundreds of payments a month and accurately. There's different tax codes on the payments. So Airbnb will bundle payments to you for multiple different properties, and there are different tax codes on parts of those payments, so cleaning and rent and stuff like that. So you need to untangle all of it and get it into the correct categories for yourself. And if you're not good at accounting, that's going to be really difficult for anyone. So if your aim is to get into this business and grow, and that's not your skill set, that's a mistake that we made, that we realized pretty quickly that we needed some serious support within the business for. So that will happen. And if you're not good at it, I can definitely recommend getting somebody in the business that is.
Now, as a property management company, you've got to keep guests happy, obviously, and you've got to keep owners happy. Just talk to us about that challenge and how you keep both sides happy and on side.
Look, I think the answer is the same for both. It's managing expectations and being as honest and as transparent from the beginning. That works for both sides. For owners, letting them understand that this is a seasonal business. It has peaks and it has troughs. It has very, very good times. There's this real simplistic approach. The summer is very, very busy and the winter is slightly quieter. Obviously, you've got a couple of busy weeks over Christmas and New Year, but that's a really simplistic approach. There's bank holidays, so on and so forth. So just mapping that out for them, mapping that journey out for them, and managing their expectations of how it's going to work, what's expected of them. That's really, really important. And the same applies for the guests, just being open, honest, transparent, managing their expectations, and using all of the tricks that we've spoken about in this podcast. I think those are the crucial sort of pieces of information there.
So when you started out, obviously there were other property management companies out there. What made your AirHost stand out, and how important is it to have a USP?
Look, I think it's really important. As I said before, we would always try and get out and go in front of our potential clients and visit our potential clients. And I think that helped us win a lot of business. And the sort of factor that differentiates us apart, we're not managing thousands of properties over multiple cities and kind of you become lost. You get lost as a number, your landlord number 464 in the queue or whatever it might be. We have a personal relationship with all of our landlords and we like to give them a personalized service. All of the landlords in the portfolio will have my number. They'll be able to contact me directly. So, we have a dedicated account manager for everyone. There's a senior account manager within the team that has multiple years experience. But of course, if the owners feel like they need some additional support, I go to meet them in the beginning and they have my number that they know that they can contact me as well. So I think that's our USP. We don't want to kind of scale to operate across, hundreds of different cities and have thousands and thousands of clients. If we do choose to operate in other cities, it'll be much on the same model that we operate now on, which is, personalized service, where we're a bespoke property management company that tailor really to our individual owners' needs.
How important is it for your business to set goals and objectives?
I think important for any business, James. You've got to be working towards targets, and it's I find a lot of parts of this business extremely rewarding. I love getting up in the morning and working on Your AirHost. It's a real pleasure in my life, and I love setting targets and I love beating them. I say it to the team all the time: make sure the line is above the line. Make sure we're above the target where we need to be, and I just find that incredibly rewarding. And I'm sure that that's the same throughout most businesses.
What would be your top tips if somebody came along to you and said, Stefan, I love your business, I want to do the same thing, maybe in a different city? What are the top maybe 3 things that you would say that they've got to get right?
I would say the top 3 things that they've got to get right is they've got to get the guest journey right, they've got to get the landlord journey right, and they've got to get the business right. There's 3 different sort of facets to it, and all of them have to be strong. You can't give the best guest journeys in the world and not look after your landlords. You can't really look after your landlords and not look after the guest journey. And then, of course, you can't look after either of those and not look after the business as well. So realizing that there are 3 different components within, this that you really need to look after, and those all need to be the priority on a day-to-day basis.
So what does the future hold for your AirHost? What are we likely to see over the next 5 or 10 years?
So Your AirHost as a business has been growing, immensely over the last 5 years. I think we want to continue that growth that we're going on within the London sort of. We operate within the M25, so we want to continue that, but we don't want to manage sort of thousands and thousands of properties like other property management companies do. We want to remain bespoke and then perhaps offer that over, one or two more cities. I think that would be the most that we could offer that bespoke service while we're operating in other environments as well. So that would be the first thing. And then also, we're looking to increase the size of our internal maintenance department, and we're looking to increase the size of our internal cleaning department, whilst offering our own linen service specifically only to our business.
I was speaking to a guy who ran actually a couple of property management businesses on the south coast, and he said when he exited one of the businesses, it was the best day of his life and also the worst day of his life. Do you ever think of the future and potentially exiting?
I remember the day that my dad sold his business and he fell asleep on the couch next to me, and he was saying in his sleep, "I've lost my job. I've lost my job." And I love what I do. I love the day to day of it, and that's not on the agenda at the moment for me.
Very good answer. Let's finish then with a couple of questions. So just tell us your biggest lesson learned since you founded Your AirHost.
Well, I've owned the business. I've started the business just during COVID. And I think, just before COVID, we were looking at perhaps, renting our own buildings. I've learned that the landscape can change really quickly. Interest rates, COVID, it can change so quickly. So minimizing your risk and not overexposing yourself as a company is something that I've learned, and I've had two really good sort of examples that have taught me that over the last 6 years. So yeah, just minimizing your risk as you're going forward, not trying to grow too quickly, not trying to expand too quickly, and making sure that you're not leveraged too high or anything like that. I think that those would be some really crucial steps for any business.
And clearly you love what you do. Just to everybody else out there and other people who are involved or maybe want to get involved in this industry, just tell them why it's so great.
It's a new and vibrant marketplace. I love the fact that everyone in this industry is super helpful towards one another. I don't find that kind of closed door anywhere. If I knock on anyone's door for advice, there is so much help. And because it's a new and kind of youngish industry which is shaping itself, I find that everyone's super helpful towards one another. So I like that. I've my career to date has I've had experiences that haven't been like that, and I've really found in the short-term rental space that everyone is very helpful. Everyone is very personable. So I really enjoy that side of it. I really enjoy working in this community. I find it's a great community to be in, and everyone is kind of vying for everyone's success within it because it's a new marketplace as such. So yeah, look, the short-term rental space it's a fantastic, and it's also really useful to people. Somebody that's going away for a period of time, that has a mortgage, that has commitments for their house over here, that they wouldn't be able to do without it. It can be such a useful tool to people as well. So not only is it a useful tool, but it's a young industry with incredibly helpful people and some amazing characters in it. So I've enjoyed it for a number of different reasons, along with building the business and the team and individuals that we have at Your AirHost here.
That really resonates with me, actually, because one thing I found, I've been lucky enough since I started Holiday Cottage Handbook to speak to a lot of founders and CEOs and co-founders, and every single one of them is a positive, can-do person. And I think you have to be if you're an owner and a founder. You've got to believe in what's possible. You've got to be a bit of a dreamer, I think, because you wouldn't start a business without being one. And that, I think, lends to the industry being exciting, new, and innovative. So I'm kind of pleased that you articulated that so well, because it is so true about the short-term rentals industry.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with it more. That's it's one of the things I noticed immediately in it, and I feel that to this day. So yeah, 100%.
Fantastic. All right, well, there we have it then. 6 episodes out of 6. I hope that everybody has found these so useful. Stefan, thank you for joining us on this very exciting journey.
Thanks, James. It's been a pleasure to be involved, and really, really enjoyed working alongside Holiday Cottage Handbook and yourself for it.
All right, that's it for our Property Management Masterclass. All 6 episodes are in the can. Huge thanks to Stefan Hoffelner for sharing his story and wisdom with the audience. And thank you for joining us for this series, which will remain on our website, YouTube channel, and your favourite podcast platforms as a valuable resource for hosts and managers everywhere. And don't forget, if you'd like to meet us both in person, make sure you join us for our free educational event for short-term rental hosts and property managers in London on November the 8th. Places are limited. Head to holidaycottagehandbook.com/your AirHost to register. For more free education tips and trends from the STR industry, head to holidaycottagehandbook.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcast series, and download a free ebook for hosts and property managers. And if you have rentals in London which require expert management, make sure you get in touch with Stefan and his team. Head to yourairhost.co.uk for details, or call 0203 280 2975 or email hello@yourairhost.co.uk. That's it. Thank you for joining us.